Yo, bro, today we're going to talk about how to quit a social media addiction for short form content. So, firstly, my story. So, say about 2 years ago, I used to spend probably 4 to 5 hours a day scrolling, so specifically short form content. That was in addition to hours of video games, hours of YouTube, listening to music constantly, like when I'm doing something that I'm not at a screen. Every single part of my life where I wasn't, say, in school, was specifically I was on social media. I'd wake up, I'd scroll for a bit. I'd get home, I'd scroll. I'd play some video games, I'd scroll between them. I'd be like loading up a league game, and during the load up of the game, I'd be scrolling. I know this wasn't just for me because my friends that I was playing with would be doing the same thing. Like even mid game, you just have it open on the side and be scrolling, or you get home and you're not replying to people. No, I literally like didn't consider my schedule starting. I'd get home at around 4. I wouldn't eat or think about calling people or even things that weren't productive, right? Up until around 5 where I'd get home and just kind of for an hour. So, first thing you need to do is realize there's a problem. Now, this is a lot simpler than it sounds because if this was simple, then no one would have a social media addiction. So, firstly, you need to realize what more could you do with your time. So, this was the first thing for me. So, I literally would watch a little bit and then I'd see a random reel about, oh, you gotta lock in, bro. You gotta do like I don't know 100 push-ups a day challenge or some stupid thing like that. And unironically it started to work a little bit because during that same period of time is when I was working out, starting to work out, sorry, and doing stuff like that. So say I do 20 push-ups, no, mid scrolling and whatever. Then I realized scrolling is kind of boring when I could play another league game with my friends. So this is a stupid replacement of me, to go to another bad dopamine instant gratification habit that's technically another addiction. But it was helpful for me at the start just to kind of see scrolling as literally a complete waste of time, where it wasn't fun, it was just mind numbing. As I'm sure many of you are, right? Now, for reference, I've dropped my scrolling and whatnot from 4 to 5 hours a day to under 5 minutes a day. Sometimes I don't even at all. Other days, I just go on a little like 5-10 minute thing, but that's it. So it's that much of a change simply happening by realizing there's a problem and starting to replace it. So initially, I did replace it with, say, bad habits, video games and whatnot. But over time, once I start focusing on these things and instead of scrolling, it allowed me to then go on to good habits. And then I'd started working out more. So instead of 20 push ups, it would be 200 push ups. Then it would be maybe 200 sit ups or something like that. So I wouldn't stop scrolling, wouldn't stop video games and whatnot. I would simply add more good stuff in. Now I know many people disagree with this and say, "Oh, you have to quit it, delete the apps, whatever." I was addicted. Quitting the apps wasn't a vision in my sight. It wasn't a possibility for me. It was just replace it with something better, having the goal of my dream physique and whatnot. And that was a nice replacement. So then you also need to realize that these things are meticulously made to be addictive. If right now I just start playing the sound of like Instagram notification, all of you go, your brain is hardwired to the dopamine, instant gratification, social interaction and validation coming from these apps. They are made to be addictive. It's sections and sections of big companies, big tech companies that are solely designed on making you addicted. And very importantly, you have to realize this is a global problem. So we wouldn't be talking about it. I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't think that a lot of people have a problem with this. I guarantee you that the majority of your friends are addicted to this. Your parents are probably addicted to this. Everyone around you is, all your classmates. I remember sitting in downstairs in like the canteen, right? I'd sit on a table and I'd realize like, say 4 out of the 6 people would be scrolling while eating, and you're there with your friends. That's ridiculous to me. So once we realize there's a problem and it happened to everyone, and this is made to be a problem, it's made to be addictive, and you realize that there are different things you can do with your time. Like, for example, I thought, okay, instead of scrolling for an hour, in that hour I could work out a little bit, I could meditate, I could write, I could read. Obviously, I'm not going to have the motivation for that constantly. Otherwise, I would never scroll. I would never play video games, never do anything bad. But especially at that time, even having a few things that I replaced it with that I really liked or I thought were important to then build a consistent habit was very important and impactful for me. So, this is my formula for stopping. Linking it to the previous aspect. RIP. So, this is how you're going to kill your social media addiction. So, firstly, you need to replace it. So, I would initially recommend replacing it with something kind of bad, because you want this to be realistic. So, instead of it being instant short form content, I would switch to YouTube videos. Now, they don't necessarily all need to be YouTube videos like this, where it's me talking on an unchanging screen for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. You can watch, a little bit more clickbaity videos and stuff like that. Some stuff that's interesting to you. Stuff that may even be kind of educational, but not necessarily productive by any means, right? So for you to watch this and for this to be productive and not just dopamine, even though I doubt, you would watch this for dopamine or whatnot anyway, would be you give me your full attention and you're trying to learn something and how you can implement this in your life. When you're watching a Mr. Beast video or whatever that may be that you watch, I'm just using a very generic example here, it's bad of sorts, but it's a lot better than short form scrolling. So firstly, replace it with a bad to then try build it onto good. Once you're starting to watch 10-minute YouTube videos instead of scrolling, it's not going to be as fun. So then it's a lot easier to lower your threshold of excitement. So say this is part of excitement. This is where you need to reach to be really aroused and really do an activity and actually be there and focus for it. Before, say reading for you is here. And reading is constantly here, right? Reading's not going to get more fun over time. And scrolling is up here. Doing drugs is up there. Like, sex is up there. Whatever that may be for you, right? But over time, if you replace your short form perfect writing, your short form content for something less like arousing for your dopamine receptors, obviously that's not the perfect science of it, but you get what I mean, and you drop it down to here, it's a lot easier for you to do activities like working out, like meditating, gratitude journaling, things that before were sort of inaccessible by your current level of your brain standard for something being fun. Then you need to improve. So you need to realize that all of this it's twofold. It's like a symbiotic blade. It's not only the fact that you're addicted, it's additionally the fact that you're addicted because of a reason. You are addicted because these are addictive, like these are actual addictions, but additionally because of the fact that your mental health is lacking in some aspects. If your mental health was perfect, you wouldn't want to scroll. You would rather do things like go out in the sun, speak to people you love and whatnot. So then I would recommend going back to other videos of mine, on gratitude journaling, on meditation, on working out, to improve your mental health through other avenues, because I found that for me at least, that's, this can be the start. What we're talking here replaces the start of the formula. It's the initial bridge of there's a problem, I'm really trying and struggling to fix it, but the improving the mental health habits is what shoots you off and brings you to another level where you can actually have long-term improvements and effects. And finally is protecting. This is so important. So I use an app called Screen Zen. I'll just type that. Screen Zen it's on iPhone. I assume it's going to be on Android and whatnot. And what that does is you can set you open the app, and instantly you need to have like a 5-second limit, and you press a button, and you have to wait for that time. And what that gives you, that's literally like the benefit of meditating, where it gives you a bit of time between you and the decision for you to think about it and really consider, is this worth it? Do I really want to sit here and scroll? And additionally, what it does is every, say, 3 or 5 minutes, whatever you set it to, it will lock the app again and you need to do that again. Now, the reason that's beneficial is because it stops death scrolling for infinity. So I remember at the start when I did this, even though I would break my daily goal that was like 25 opens, I'd literally get like 75 to 100 opens. But it would stop me a lot of the time because I'd be watching it, it would cut off. And say even 10% of the times I'd realize I'm being an idiot, cut it out. And over time I've got to a point where I have like 100-day streak of being within my goal for like Instagram. So I don't even have it installed on my phone. So like once a week to reply to messages or something. And TikTok I haven't installed for months and stuff like that. So what you can do is this. I don't recommend doing things like grayscaling your phone, because then you don't use your phone. Now, if you only use your phone for social media and dopamine, fair enough. If you use your phone for like messaging your friends, doing Duolingo specifically for me, I don't want it to be on grayscale. Now, it can be for you. It's definitely something I'd recommend. It has been shown to reduce, screen time by 30% or something like that. But it's something that I didn't find a lot of results in, so I'm not going to recommend it to you necessarily. But I definitely recommend having something like Screen Zen or a screen blocker, something like that. Because even though it's not meant to completely prohibit you from entering your addiction, because you want to build up the willpower that you actually don't want to enter your addiction, instead it gives you some benefits like periodic stopping and a barrier between you and the bad habit, which I find really helpful. And finally, long-term adherence to relapse. So firstly, don't give a heroin addict cocaine. What do I mean by that? If you are addicted to scrolling on Instagram reels, and then I tell you to go on YouTube, don't go on YouTube and start scrolling on shorts, right? That's, it negates the entire point of this. I'm talking about stopping short form content holistically. Don't think, oh, okay, yeah, I stopped using Insta. I'll put a blocker on Insta. But YouTube's fine on my phone, right? I'm not gonna do something like that. Sure, you may be right. Say for the first time, okay, you'll use it, you won't put a blocker on it. But then you realized, oh wait, I've scrolled for the last 10 days on YouTube instead of Instagram. You need to be very protective and careful of the fact that addictions like this are promoted by all the mainstream companies, and it's kind of like a web of, if you're not going to take this one, you can take this path. If you can't take this path, you can take this path. You can go on Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you want, and every time you will find an avenue for your addiction. So you have to be very, very protective and understand the next point where your ego will make you crumble. This has personally failed me hundreds of times, but don't believe because, oh, I've stopped using Instagram now, that you can go on YouTube or TikTok and you won't have the same effect. You need to appreciate the difficulty and the severity of your addiction, quite frankly, for you to be able to make a difference and realize, okay, I am not at a stage now where I can have it in front of me scrolling, I'll scroll 2 reels and then I'll stop. At least that was a thing for me. I have to realize that to me, I treated it almost like the devil in my phone, where I have to avoid it at all costs, because I knew I'm not at a current state where I can be cured from it, or at least I can maintain myself from it. So that's a very important final step, is to quickly recap. Realize there's a problem. What does that mean for you? How long are you spending? What could you be doing instead with your time? This is made to be addictive, and everyone around you is addicted. Formula for stopping: rip, kill your addiction. And finally, realize you are addicted. We're doing this whole journey because there's a problem here. Don't believe, oh, suddenly you're cured. Don't believe that suddenly you won't relapse. And if you do relapse, be easy on yourself and be very gracious and very quick in reacting to it. Don't think, oh no, it's fine. I'll ignore it because I'm better. I'm not gonna scroll. Realize I scrolled, I messed up. That's okay. I'm addicted. I'll just move forward from this. And over time, you'll get to a position like me where I've gone from 4 or 5 hours to 4 or 5 minutes, right? So that has been an incredible change and improvement in my life, and I really hope this helps you, man. Much love, bro.